Hello, everybody. Intuition here. Thank you so much for making some time and space for us. Today, we wish to talk about the heart, as that seems like a big topic of conversation for many individuals that are into spirituality or heart consciousness. There seems to be a big uproar around the heart and how important it is to open your heart and how important it is to allow it to speak for you. And we, like everything and everyone else, want to add our lens of what it is that we see the heart as, and what its purpose is, and why it is or isn't just as special as everything else that is in and within the body. But first, what we will say is, like everything in the physical body, it is a perfect blend of the 7 universal principalities that created this space and created this place in which you are all in right now, that we are all in right now. And so therefore the body is no different in that sense. Each and every organ is specified, special, designated from one of the 7 universal principalities. It has its own unique signature, its own unique vibratory energy that is reminiscent of the universal principality that it comes from. And therefore, when it goes in or out of balance, or why it was created to begin with, it is important to understand all of those things and subtopics that are still related to the topic of the heart. Because when you understand what the point and what universal principality the heart is associated with, then it makes a little bit more sense as to why it is such a big deal these days. So what we come to understand is that the heart is associated and was created by the universal principality that is the principality associated with resistance and resilience. Resistance and resilience created the heart, and therefore also helped to create time as well. Who knows what came first, the chicken or the egg? Time, and then they created the heart, or they created the heart, and then therefore that created time. However, they are responsible for those 2 energetic signatures and vibrations. And why the heart was created, what the purpose is, first and foremost, I'll remind you that this place is run by an illusion, right? It is a synthesis, a synthesized version of what it is that we come from in our original place in space. However, this is not our original place in space. This is a faux version, a fake version of the place in space in which we really originate from. This place was created to help the 6 as they fell out of themselves, fell 6 feet under, 6 feet under, 6 universal principalities, 6 feet under, fell, kept on falling in density, falling in their consciousness, falling in their remembrance of all it is that they are. In Earth, this universe, this place was the last thing, the final stop that caught them before they lost consciousness altogether and was put back to the vibratory nature that we all originate from, back to square one, in which they would have had to start re-evolving and redefining themselves in conscious awareness. So this was the last stop, so to speak, in being able to catch them before they completely de-evolve themselves out of consciousness altogether. So the heart helps the illusion run. It helps the time run, the time signature continue to pump, move, beat, right? Time, everything with the heart, everything with timing, it's a beat, it's a vibration, right? And that is how you know it's a very specific energetic universal principality that is at play with that. And the heartbeat is to simulate what it is that we all have, what it is that we all inherently do, which is vibrate, right? The heartbeat allows a beep, 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 which then creates a vibration, 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 and therefore that synthesizes, that is the synthetic version of what it is that we do in our space. It is created to continue again to hold this illusion in place and give the illusion that you are all alive and that you are all well and that you are back in where it is that we actually come from. But again, we do not have hearts that therefore beat for us and therefore run our lives, so to speak. We are the heart, we are all of the cardiovascular system. It does not move for us and therefore we are alive. We are simply alive without all of those structures and things in place. So the idea of heart consciousness is simply a universal principality wanting to feel and be seen. Not to say that the heart doesn't have a bunch of pros and cons to it. The heart is beautiful, just like the rest of all of the body and all of the organs within the physical body. But to say that the heart is the heart consciousness is a superior consciousness, or that we must focus on opening up the heart because the heart consciousness is the next step, is a little gratuitous. That is, again, like saying there is only one way to start a car. And there are a bunch of different ways to start a car. You could hotwire it, you could use the keys, you could start pushing it, and then maybe the engine will catch and then it will start. I mean, there's so many different ways to start a car, but to say that that's the only way to start a car is, well, it's not necessarily completely true, but it could be true for you based on the universal principality that you are identified with. But the heart consciousness is nevertheless an interesting consciousness, and if that works for you in remembering all it is that you are, then assalamu alaikum, keep on having that heart beat for you and run your life and allow it to inform you of all it is that you are. But again, the idea that heart consciousness is bigger and better than any other consciousness, like the liver consciousness or the brain consciousness or the throat consciousness or the stomach consciousness, it is no better. It is all just different consciousnesses. It is different universal principalities and different understandings of consciousness. So if the heart speaks to you, I'm sure it does. It has a beat. It has a vibration, which is similar to the languaging in which we come from. Then continue to unravel your heart. But we like to say that the heart isn't all it's cracked up to be. We all used to speak through our hearts back in the ancient times, back in Lemuria, back in the old times in which our heart was how we used to speak. We used to speak through our heart consciousness. We used to send out a pulse through our heart, and that is how we would speak and express ourselves. That would used to be the way that we could communicate with one another, not through our vocal cords rubbing up against each other, but by our heart speaking for us. And that is beautiful and fantastic and wonderful, and it certainly worked well when we were in ancient times, in that ancient consciousness, using different organs to speak and synthesize and disseminate what it is that we were trying to express. But just like all ways of communication, it has its pros and cons. And it's not to say that heart consciousness is closer to how it is that we speak to each other in the space in the home in which we originate from. If anything, tonality and the way that we express ourselves is much more closer to the way in which we express ourselves back in the space in which we originate from. And that is not because we have vocal cords and we don't have a heart, or we have a heart and we don't have vocal cords. Again, we don't have a physical body where it is that we come from in our original home in space. But if you think about it, back in old times, back in ancient times, when you were speaking with the heart, it's the pro is that there's no lying, so to speak, with the heart. You can't really hide the heart. You can't hide what is on the heart. The heart is pretty transparent in that way. You can, however, lie, so to speak, with the words, in which if you were talking through your voice, through your vocal cords, you can lie, so to speak. But with the heart, there was less lies. There was more transparency. You knew exactly what was on everybody's heart, and there was no hiding it. And also, it was talking all the time, because the heart would beat, 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 beat. Everybody would hear it all the time, regardless of whether you wanted them to hear it or not. It was beating, beating, beating all the time. So if it was beating all the time. So imagine beating all the time. Sometimes you don't want to share certain things, right? And that is why we say that words are a little bit more congruent with the truth of where it is that we come from, a closer truth in how we used to express ourselves. Because with words, you can choose to talk or not talk. You could change the tonality of your voice. You could change the words in which would change the meaning of the message of what it is that you're sharing. Words and tone and that vibration in that sense, there is more of a sense of choice. Again, I could change the words that I'm using. I could change the tone that I'm using. I could choose to not speak at all. I can choose to speak all day. There is a myriad of choices in which you could choose, whereas the heart, it is just beat, 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 beat. Here's a beat. There's a beat. Do you want to hear this beat? I'm hearing a beat. Are you hearing a beat? All day fucking long. Every day. All day. That's all you hear. And of course, there's more to it than just beat, beat. There was actual messaging, but it's noisy. And there's no choice per se in that because everybody hears the beat, 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 beat. I hear of selective mutes, but I don't hear of selective heartbeats. And that's because, again, if you're speaking through the heart, there really isn't a choice. There's not much choice. You're beating, 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 beating because it's an essential function based off of the illusion that keeps us all alive in the illusion. But you can choose to speak. You can choose the words in which you speak. You can choose to lie or to hide or to express or to not express. And that, again, is more concurrent with where it is that we come from and how it is that we communicate with each other. Because, no, we are not hiding where it is that we come from. We do not lie where it is that we come from. A lie is a construct of the idea that I'm trying to people please or universally please, and we don't have time for that because there also is no time. So we have a choice. We are vibrating all the time, right? And that is the way in which we communicate. So we are constantly vibrating, sending out a pulse, but we don't have to give context or definition to that pulse unless you are that universal principality that sends out that pulse, that vibration. You, another universal principality receiving that vibration, have no fucking clue what it is that that other universal principality just sent out. Now, you may like how it feels, that vibration that another universal principality sent out, and therefore that would encourage you to find that universal principality and say, hey, I felt that thing that you sent out. What was that about? And then that universal principality that sent out that original burst, that original wave can say, that was about this. Or that universal principality could say, get the hell out of my face. I'm not talking today. Please leave me alone. But again, there's a choice there. If we had a heart, it was just going beat, 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 beat all the time, there really isn't much of a choice. Everybody knows what's on our minds. Everybody knows what's going on. There is nothing but transparency, and again, there is not much of a choice in communicating in that way. It is a beautiful way to communicate, and we do not diminish it. But again, it is just one universal principality's way and their understanding of the way in which we used to communicate with each other back in the space in which we originate from. And again, vibration is vibration. And that is why it is easy to misremember how it is that we communicate. Because again, a faux vibration, a heartbeat, is still a vibration. And really, the heart is not what animates the body. The vibration, our signature universal principality, that original vibration is what animates the heart, which then allows it to go beat, 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 beat. But it's not the heart, and then therefore, oh, the heart is beating, and now the spirit can come in. No, 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 no. Absolutely not. It is our vibration comes in and animates the heart, beat, 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 which then starts the faux, the synthetic beat, beat, which then translates to the third density vibration, which is, again, one way to communicate, but not the way to communicate, not the way in which is closer to how we communicate in the space in which we come from. So the heart has its place in space, literally and figuratively, but for you to over-identify with the heart, to say that that is the only consciousness that is going to give me the key to get out of this vesicle and transcend space and time, well, it might, depending on the universal principality that you are, and hopefully you're not over-identifying with the heart and thinking that that is all you are and that is the only way to get home. Because that is one of 7 ways to get home, one of 8 ways to get home, technically, if you're including the 8th universal principality that was created once this place was created. So there are many different ways to get home. Heart consciousness is one of them. It could also be liver consciousness. It could be skin consciousness. It could be voice consciousness. It could be whatever consciousness you want. But to over-identify and pedestal and idealize the heart is what gets us into trouble to begin with. Every time we over-identify with something that is not ours, we start losing ourselves, and then it usually takes us about a lifetime to figure out that we were focused on the wrong thing to begin with. We're focused on the heart when we could have been focused on the entirety of all that we are, which is equally as important as just one single thing. But if you are insistent on having to come back here and live another human life, then hey, who are we to judge? Keep on living it up in reincarnation after reincarnation. Maybe it will take 7 reincarnations for you to focus on all the 7 ways in which you could go home to find the right one for you. Who knows? That's not for us to judge or choose. That is equally valid as just focusing on the remembrance of all that you are, not just your heart, not just your liver, not just your stomach, not just your brain, not just the air that you breathe, not just the light that you see, not just the illusion, not just... Or you could get caught up in all those things too, and that's fun and exciting, and it has its place in space as well. But a simpler way, if you asked, a simpler way is just getting in touch with all that you are. And that's as simple as just, I don't know, closing your eyes, taking a step inward. I didn't say meditate, so please don't get it confused. I didn't say chant, because a lot of people lose themselves in the words of the chant, and then that's another thing that you're over-identifying with that is taking you farther away from you. But just close your eyes, see what happens, take a step inside the room that is your mind, so to speak. Not to say that your mind is the way home, but again, when you close your eyes, the immediate thing that comes to many of our minds is you close your eyes and you see your mind, you see your head, right? But it's more, you close your eyes and you take a step into the dark room where it is that you feel your eyes are, which is your mind. But really it is the entire universe that you are. You are not the body, you are not the heart. You are everything. You are everything outside of what it is that you see, because you are creating that illusion, but you are more everything else when you close your eyes and take a step into the dark room that is you and see that it's not so dark to begin with. It's just dark because you were standing on the outside of the room looking in. And the outside of the room meaning, the space between where you open and close your eyes. It looks dark because there is an artificial light emanating that is then therefore your eyes are light receptors, right? So therefore your eyes are picking up that brightness. But just because your eyes are trained to try and look for fake light does not mean that there isn't light when you really close your eyes and look within. It simply means that you are trained to see the illusion, to see the fake light, and not to see the real light that emanates within you, and it is really not that dark inside of you. Once you take a few steps in, you will see that there is a bunch of light in there. It is very bright, if not brighter than the fake light in which you insist on looking and taking in with your eyes all the time. But who are we to say anything to another universal principality who knows it all? Allow you to be the light. And if that is as simple as focusing on your heart, then oh my goodness, please focus on it all day long, and we hope to see you back home. Tell us how your journey went through the gateway of your heart, if that is what it takes for you to come home. But if that's too abstract and strange and doesn't make that much sense, then there are several other ways to get home. Don't get lost in the minutia, in the illusion, in the bullshit of an organ, because you're more than an organ. You're more than your heart, you're more than your mind, you're more than your lungs, you're more than your liver, you're more than your kidneys, blah, 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 blah. So, as always, we thank you for making some time and space for us. We wish your heart many happy beats. We wish your lungs many happy breaths, and all the other organs many happy functions. And we wish you well. Until next time.